guys, Crew of Blind Wave. I'm Eric.
I'm Aaron.
And we haven't spoken a word about it, but we just watched Spider-Man No Way Home.
We just got back.
It was just us two. Calvin and Rick are not going to, they hadn't watched it. They're actually going to reserve their watch until it comes out in video on demand. Whoever knows how long from now.
However months.
Yeah, but that way we can have a shield of us that we can do the review. We can have two others do the reaction, and any other like spoilers or anything that are going to come. We can be that wall that separates
Q&As
them.
and such like that. But
so anyway,
we're gonna be starting this off with a non-spoiler section. So if you haven't seen it, we'll talk about that for a little bit, and then we'll be getting into the actual review and spoilers and all that. We'll warn you before we get there. That way you can avoid all the spoilers of things.
Yes, we'll go ahead and have our editor pop up the time in which spoilers start. So you have until then to watch this video. But this non-spoiler review is to tell you to go see this movie because, like I said, sometimes we do this thing where we go watch a thing and then we come back and we don't say a thing yet just to reserve it for camera. But I mean, we were not sitting right next to each other, but I felt like this, I don't know, culmination of 20 years of Spider-Man fandom in this movie, which if you are a fan of Spider-Man movies, any iteration, it's fun.
No, I don't know if it's my bias for Spider-Man in general, because Spider-Man's one of my favorites. If it's just the movie was really good, but I enjoyed like every aspect of this movie. Like I don't feel like I really, a lot of movies like I can see a problem here or there or whatnot, but right now I might be just in the high of watching it for the first time. Maybe I think about it more. Maybe I see it another 5 times and I'm like, you know what? This. But no, I thought it was a lot of fun. I really liked it. Thought the story was fun. Thought the fights were great.
I think the thing I was most afraid of going in was elements of the Spider-Man that I know and love in the MCU being overshadowed by other elements. We've had crazy trailers and we've had, all that stuff. But I felt like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, he's never been more Spider-Man in this one. I never connected with him more than in this one. Very emotional, very fun, really capturing both the teenage element and a teenager forced to mature through the events. Really hit me.
He's getting older. He's 17 or so in this movie, as opposed to when the first movie I think he's 15 or something like that. But no, it's been interesting seeing his journey for Spider-Man and everything, and then with what we've seen from trailers and all that kind of stuff. I was really excited going in, but I was also like, man, I feel like maybe I've seen too much now and stuff. But there's still some really good stuff in there that hadn't been shown, so I'm glad for that as well. So.
Me too.
No, I think character-wise, I thought things were really good, and I thought music-wise, and I thought fight-wise. I don't know. I feel like most things hit. Like all cylinders kind of just firing off, or blowing on all. What was it? You remember what?
What was it?
With blowing on all cylinders. Is that what it was?
Yeah, blowing all cylinders.
Yeah,
I remember.
It was blowing on all cylinders.
No, you're completely correct. I've only seen it once, but I haven't found much at fault, and it might have my favorite fight of any MCU, any Spider-Man, one of the best superhero fights I've ever seen in my life. That was they just nailed everything, I could see stuff from the Spider-Man video game, that's that move, that kind of thing. So there was a lot of heart and soul and money and passion put into this one. And you had your whole family there, so how would you say in terms of did I bring my kids to the movie with me or not?
No, I mean they definitely enjoyed the movie itself. I think I haven't gotten to talk to them too much because we finished that and we left and everything, and but sitting next to it, like Kanan, he's my youngest son, and he was different points. He was he's excited and stuff, and really into what was going on.
I didn't hear a peep out of him.
Other points, he was Dad, that's really sad, and different things like that. And he was really into it. Coulson was pretty quiet the whole time. Leon was sitting on the far end, so I didn't get to talk to him very much at all, but. No, I think all of them really enjoyed it. Yeah,
and I was trying to watch it of two minds. One as a longtime Marvel fan, both in all iterations of Marvel, and one as if I was just a Spider-Man fan or just an MCU fan, can I appreciate everything here? And I felt like it did it pretty well.
Yeah, I think most of the story beats and everything they fit into. If you're not familiar with something, I think it feeds enough into it where you're at least understanding of what's going on. So I did like that as well. So actually, most of my kids they've only seen MCU stuff. So if you're looking at other Marvel entities and stuff like that, they haven't seen a whole lot of that.
Sure.
So they enjoyed everything that was in there without seeing that stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, usually this is the time in the review we say, is it something that you should go see in the theater, or is it something that I should check out? the kind of like catch-22 of seeing movies in a theater now is that I'm not going to brave going out into the theater until I know I'm going to love something, but I have to just give it its proper props. Yes.
It's definitely really good. If you can, and if you're worried about it, if you can find like a matinee in an afternoon where like no one's there, try doing that or something too. But no, it's definitely a really good one. And best of luck to everybody. If you want to try to wait and hold off till it's on demand, on avoiding any kind of spoilers and stuff, because it's a really fun ride. If you know, the less and less you know about it, I think the better it is. So.
Yeah, and it's always an option to contact your local theater and see if they have options for early screenings, or like you can kind of group up with friends and family, stuff like that, so that everybody out there can be as safe as possible and as comfortable as possible. Which I was quite comfortable with our theater experience. It was cool. Like I usually get nachos and cheese, but I was like, no, I haven't been to theater in fucking 2 years. I'm getting popcorn. I'm getting a slushie. Default, enjoy the experience, and I really did.
This is my first movie in the theater since Birds of Prey.
It's so long, but it was really nice. So anyway, that I think is our non-spoiler discussion, and now it is time. So everybody that hasn't seen it, goodbye.
Go
have
away.
Fun. Go away.
Come back
because
later.
we literally can't wait to spoil and talk about everything that we saw. So I think we start out with Aaron. You got to say one thing that surprised you the most, and that you're like, oh my God, I can't wait to talk about it. And just say it in 3, 2, 1. Daredevil.
That didn't surprise me as much though as it would have. I
think. Because of Kingpin, right?
I mean, with that happening and stuff.
Sure.
And then at a point they were going through and they're like, I want to talk to a lawyer. I'm like, lawyer, man. You had Kingpin.
You get a lawyer. You get the lawyer that I want you to get, and they did.
Give me Charlie Cox in here, man.
Oh man, when the king came in, I dropped my drink. Like I was just so excited.
I heard it just. What the hell's he doing back here?
Sorry.
No, I was very excited to see Matt Murdock, played by Charlie Cox, in the movie. It's got me so excited for like, are they just gonna do Daredevil stuff? Are they gonna do more than that? Like, Vincent D'Onofrio being a great Kingpin and stuff. I'm excited for that too. But Charlie Cox was so good.
I was excited on so many levels. Like I was excited that we're getting a Daredevil in the MCU, and it's not like alternate reality stuff. No, that's the MCU's Daredevil. It's Charlie Cox. It seems to be like I was excited I was excited for Charlie Cox. Like I was excited for a fellow human being being able to feel such validation as to be like technically the first guy that made it from movie or from the small screen to the big screen.
This is the biggest trickle up I think we've had in an MCU. Like you can say Kingpin because he happened first,
and you can say Jarvis.
It wasn't.
I suppose.
Yeah, sure, that one. But he had such a minor part.
I understand,
and it wasn't like a main character. Yeah. It's like this is who is based on the Jarvis thing and all that. But having Charlie Cox from the Netflix series in the actual movie, as opposed to like right now we've had a picture of Kingpin. Yep. Sorry for spoilers, but you should watch all the MCU stuff.
You should. We're in the spoiler section. We're allowed.
We're diving into stuff. But no, that's we had a picture so far. We didn't even have him.
I know.
I guess we had whatever his laugh was. But no, this is really cool, and I'm really excited, and I'm hoping they do more with it.
Yep.
And I don't know what exactly they'll do. Like they could do they've already had a Daredevil series, and if they leave that in the actual canon of everything, you can just have him showing up in situations rather than having. It's like what they did with Hulk, right?
Yeah.
Hulk has not had his own movie in forever.
Yep.
But he keeps showing up here and there, and Thor, and wherever he needs to be. So maybe they'll do that.
I thought it was very interesting. This movie ends on Christmas, and Hawkeye is taking place during Christmas.
No, yeah, I think this. York. I mean, this has to be beforehand a little bit, right? Because they talked about it there being like. I think in Hawkeye being like, since the Statue of Liberty's been taken care of or fixed or whatever.
Anyway, we're jumping way ahead going towards that end, but that was my first big, like, I can't believe it. And then they just didn't stop coming. But I guess everything else I felt like I expected all the villains.
Sure, I get that.
I truly expected the other Spider-Men.
Sure.
I love the way they did it, but I expected it. I did not expect Charlie Cox as Daredevil.
Sure.
Even having Kingpin in there.
In this movie itself,
yeah,
like it wasn't what I was going to expect.
I thought we'll go from TV to TV, not we go from TV that's not part of it to movie that's the biggest. I was just looking up before we got here, like the numbers, like it's like there isn't a pandemic going on right now. That's how well it's doing.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm happy for it because it was certainly a culmination of different Spider-Men.
No, I was. No, the movie itself, like, it had a lot of people showing up into it, and I guess now, since we're out of this...
We can talk all about it.
But I love bringing we didn't have a Sinister Six, right? Like that was the
No,
whole
we did.
Huh? What do you mean?
We did. Venom just didn't show up.
I mean,
we had 5, and then Venom. That's how he was brought in at the end of Venom 2. He just was in a bar the entire time.
He's down in Mexico.
I think that's the cosmic joke. We did have a Sinister Six. The sixth one just never showed up.
I guess.
I understand that's really disappointing, but I think that's the point.
Yeah. Well, we kept going through the whole movie. I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Did I miscount anything?
I did the same thing.
Someone else going to show up? What are we gonna have?
I was like Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Lizard, Electro, Sandman. It's 5. Fuck.
Yeah.
And at the end we see that.
But I was like, who else are we gonna bring into this? Because you brought in the villain from Tobey Maguire in the first movie, the villain from Tobey Maguire in the second movie. Yep. Unless you brought in Venom from the third movie, which we brought Venom in.
See, I had a lot of questions during in the Venom 2, and this answered it and so much more. Why do these villains come into this MCU universe? They come in when they realize who Peter Parker is. Like, Venom says that he taps into that multiversal language that the symbiotes all have. They would at that point know who Peter Parker is, and that's when he got sucked in. And it seems like all the other villains, when they reach enlightenment of who it is, that's when they were brought in.
Yeah.
Right? Because Doc Ock talks about, I had him there, I had my machine, and then I don't remember. And that's when he takes his mask off. That's when
they all vanished around that time. Same thing with Electro.
Electro, right before he hits enlightenment or whatever, when he was ascending to
in the final
godhood.
Fight with the lizard and stuff, it kind of all fits with that. So the symbiote's the weirdest one, but if it's because at the end of Venom 2 they're talking about what all they know and how they reached across the cosmos or whatever they talked about in there.
It's like once that symbiote Venom gave to Eddie Brock this connection of multiversal knowledge, that was when he was sucked in. And that one's the loosest case, but I feel like I'm trying to connect that web.
But I mean they left a thread there, or a symbiote I guess, a little bit to
I felt your inner fanboy from across the theater. Like, you were like, yeah.
It's a much better thing.
You talk so much about, I just don't love that. And this is a way of having Tom Hardy's Venom kind of kickstart it, but it could be its own thing now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how that's going to tie in yet with... we also have Sony doing the other stuff, and if you've seen trailers from that, there's been things where you're like, well, what's this, and what's that, and how does that work? And I'm still curious on those elements.
Me too.
But, I mean, we'll find out, I guess, as it goes.
We definitely will.
As far as, the big things, too, I really enjoyed... You were saying, what's your favorite thing, whatever, the biggest thing, whatever. I was most surprised by the way they did, a redemption thing on so many people. Yeah. And it was so cool, and I really enjoyed it.
It was, and I kept waiting for it to fall apart.
Yeah, I know.
But as it was happening, I'm like, don't fall apart. But the way it fell apart was that tense moment. Peter is tingling for a minute, and he's surrounded by villains. Which one is it? Where's it coming from? Norman Osborn.
Sure. And at the same time,
I should say not Norman Osborn.
There's stuff happening outside, and you're like, is it because Jay Jonah's out there?
That
and there's
moment
cops
was so
showing
tense.
up, or what's going on? What's he feeling?
But I agree. It was a great way to get to know these people once again, in a way. What's different? Jamie Foxx is way different than he was in as Electro in Spider-Man 2. Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I think this movie, if you have the history with these people previously, I got teary-eyed so much with getting Doc Ock. It was the chip thing where he comes back and it's just him and he gives back the... I liked how they, because we talk about in the trailer, why is his thing all red and stuff? And I'm
he was taking the
I like the reasoning of the nanotech, it keeps him trapped.
Me
and
too.
Stuff.
And I love the reasoning of why Peter shows his face in that fight, because you're not.
Because he has to.
He has to. He has to move the nanotech from here to here so he doesn't get stabbed. Mm-hmm. That was really great. Great way of making Peter smart enough not to reveal himself to just the guy on a bridge, because why would you do that unless the story called for it? But I felt like it was a really clever way. Everything in this movie was really clever.
I mean, he already knew he was Peter. Everyone knew he was Peter.
True, and that's the point. But Peter doesn't know that yet. In a way,
I suppose he doesn't know he doesn't know who he is. He just knows that he knows he's Peter.
You still want to be. I get what you mean.
But he doesn't know his face is different.
I just love the way it happened, where it's save yourself. You're showing the face.
Sure,
it works really well. But I can't not continue to talk. But when that Ned being able to use magic was not the weakest thing for me, but the thing I was like, what? Oh, okay. I mean, you got some magic in him or something, that's fine. And I thought there was a lot of humor out of it. But because of that being the connection that brought in Toby and Andrew Garfield was that was a special moment.
When he first turned, I was like, the eyes looked weird. When they did that and it showed like Spider-Man, he went like this. I'm like, those eyes felt different.
Gotcha.
And then as he like got closer, I'm like,
no,
who is it?
It was the eyes that got me. Like as soon as he turned, I saw him like that's Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. That's that second movie one, and those are two fantastic moments. And I knew that was okay. This definitely happens. We're definitely gonna get Toby in then. But once Toby came in, I literally I think I cried 3 times in the movie.
Sure.
And that was one of them.
Gotcha.
That was amazing. Toby coming in and just seeing him that way, just like as if walking through a portal was like nothing. Like I do that, but I just
like, hey, sorry, I just came through it's gone.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic, and I loved them. I loved every conversation the Peters had with each other.
They could have kept talking instead of fighting on that Statue of Liberty. At one point, they said, all right, looks like they're coming. We got to get ready. I'm like, no, I want a movie of this.
Yeah, we could have just forgotten about the rest of the movie, and I've only had that, and then it just awkwardly ended and roll credits, and I wasn't happy.
I had fun, like the web shooter stuff, and talking about that, and how it does it, and does it come from other places. Yep. I love that they kept calling Andrew Garfield amazing.
Yeah, I know. I'm
like, oh my god.
No, I'm not as great as you guys.
It's like, no, you're amazing.
And it's kind of like a meta of like, well, no one liked the second trilogy or whatever. It's like, no, people liked it. Come on.
Sure.
You know, you deserve a seat at this table.
I just love because, well, it wasn't even a trilogy. They canceled all their plans after that because they made Homecoming. Yeah. They were going to do like a Sinister Six movie, and they were supposed to do like a whole thing. Sure. The Venom series was going to be involved in the Andrew Garfield stuff, you know, But no, they canceled all that. But it just being Amazing Spider-Man, and maybe people not enjoying that one as much. But no, I liked all their conversations. Now, as far as crying and stuff too, the one that got me the most that I wasn't expecting was you have MJ falling off the Statue of Liberty, and when Tom Holland goes to save her and gets like intercepted by
Green Goblin.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh no. I'm like, this can be like a redemption-y moment of like Andrew had talked previously about how Gwen, because they had talked about who they lost and everything, and he talked about Gwen and how he lost Gwen, and when he jumps to save MJ and gets to save her, and then even he is like, oh man,
like that guy saved so many people so many times, but he saved Peter's love interests, you know.
Oh, I loved that. That one got me, and that was the one that I wasn't expecting the most, and I couldn't believe it. It was so good. That might have been, and it wasn't even with Tom Holland, but that might have been like, maybe, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that happens. That might be my favorite scene that just came out of nowhere for me, you know? Like, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I thought it was, that was my other, and then my third, not counting Daredevil. I didn't think I cried, but I could have maybe welled up. But my third is, I couldn't believe that they killed Aunt May. Actually, I even wrote this in my notes because I was like, oh my god, did she die whenever that pumpkin bomb went off? And then she said she's okay. I'm like, okay. She's okay. I know. I wrote down Aunt May okay. Thank God.
They kept fucking with me.
And then I had to cross it out because that was so emotional. I thought that this way they played that was so antithetical to the way you usually play this type of, like, it was like it's not even a possibility that she's gonna die.
At a point, right?
For both of them.
Because like she got up.
Yeah.
And then like she did a thing, and then she was okay. And I'm like, okay. Well, at this point they're going through this. Like, it gets to that point where you're like, well, she's not going to die now because it doesn't make sense because she just did this. They're not going to kill her now. Yeah. But there was one point when after she had said what she said and she had her hand on his back and it felt like her arm was, like, trembling. And I'm like, oh, fuck, please don't kill her. Please don't kill her.
There was a performance by Tom Holland that I don't think I'll ever forget. It was so good where he looks at her and he's like, what are you doing? Like, he can't, it's not even a possibility that she's going to die. He's like, what are you doing? It hit this wall. It doesn't make sense that she's hurt beyond the point of help. Like, it's impossible. Like, you could hear the crack in his mind and turning what has been like one of the sweetest and, you know, hopeful characters into a murderer. Like, he wants to kill someone he knows is broken, you know? He doesn't care. I don't want to save him. I want to kill him. That was amazing. Yeah. And that to culminate into I can't believe we've gotten how many movies with Tom Holland as Spider-Man and not heard with great power comes great responsibility.
No, yeah.
And choosing it at this, or putting it at this moment, was like, I was like, when he said, like, that's good. We haven't seen Uncle Ben, we see Aunt May, and she says it. But whenever
Parkers. the other Peters talk about it.
And that's my third time.
You have him talking about Ben.
Yep.
And then you have him talking about Gwen.
Yep.
And they're all talking about the same kind of thing. And he's like, how do you know that? It's like, Uncle Ben used to say that. And like, we haven't
Tobey
met him.
Maguire's performance when he said, with great responsibility, was so good.
I loved it. Dude, we haven't seen
I was back there with my
Ben.
popcorn and my slush, like, I love the movies.
Having not seen Uncle Ben in this at all,
Yep.
but like, okay, well, May was with a Ben. She, you know, that's where I'm putting it, right?
Yeah.
And then like, we don't know his parents or anything.
Yeah.
Like, this movie has done, and it might be a culmination too of like the way things have built up, because even by the end of it, we get like Spider-Man in his like Spider-Man outfit, like the traditional Spider-Man outfit.
He made it with the sewing machine.
Like he made it. Like it felt like, and no one knows who he is now.
Yeah.
It felt like what we did is like we had like, okay, alternate universe Spider-Man, here's where he is in Civil War, and then here he is in Far From Home, and then here we are with this, and now we've gone through like a different and weird, but an origin story almost.
No, you're right.
Where like he's like rebuilt into like, now we have Spider-Man. He's gone through the responsibility thing. Instead of Ben, it's Aunt May. He has some experience now, and he has the traditional suit, and no one knows who he is. And him giving up MJ because he sees her being hurt.
Like, I get it, but I was like, oh, the donuts,
like,
come on,
no,
man.
she was in danger because she knew who I was. Ned was in danger because he knew who I was.
And their lives were ruined because they knew who I was.
Now they're going to be happy lives.
You're right. I didn't think about it that way.
It's like they rebooted like an origin, but instead of doing the traditional Uncle Ben and all this stuff, they just said, you know what, we're going to go a whole other way. And I was like, what?
Yeah. No, you're right. That's brilliant.
It was crazy.
They skipped the origin story to get you to the point when you realize that it's been 3 movies.
It's a 3-movie origin story kind of thing.
Plus.
It's like a crazy. I don't know. It's just when he had on his suit, I'm like, oh my god, he's now Spider-Man. Like, that's where we've gotten to.
Yeah.
And no one knows him. Like, we've rebooted everything to like, that's where we're at. And it was just that moment when he swinging through. Like, we didn't get like a good look, but we got enough of a look.
It's like shiny material.
It's so bright and stuff. Oh man. But no, that's
like
all,
made out of a comic book.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
But no, all because of May and stuff.
Yeah, and that just, you know, when it seemed like, you know, because we have a lot of movie to talk about, but whenever it seemed like Toby was going to die after getting stabbed, I thought like, ooh, maybe it was a mistake to use that then, and maybe if he actually was going to die, he's the one that tells him with great power, you know?
Sure.
But luckily, he's been stabbed before, and they have a healing factor, and it wasn't a big deal, to the point where I was like, why'd you even stab him? Then,
You're in so much pain right now. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
I guess so.
Okay.
So, but yeah, my other great part of this movie is Norman Osborn.
Oh man, seeing Willem Dafoe again.
Killed it.
He was so good before, as it.
He was, but it was that times a million, because I feel like the first one, well, he made the choice, and yeah, he's insane, but it's kind of like him. But this one really felt like Norman Osborn as a victim.
Yeah, it did.
To the Green Goblin.
Like, he lands, he breaks his mask and stuff, right?
Like when Tom Holland's like the Goblin, I felt that, you know? And he had a line, I can't remember exactly what he said.
Which one, Willem?
Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. Like, he said, like, all the power to take what you want.
Oh, you're strong enough to take what you want, too weak to do anything about it or something.
Yeah,
like that.
but the way he did it, like, too weak to take anything about it. You know, he's just so good. And his fucking face, man, it terrifies me way more than that mask ever will.
Sure, yeah.
But, like,
I love that they broke the mask to just let you
yeah.
see his face the whole time.
Like, that guy is like, in the scope of all actors, he's a motherfucker, you know? He is so good. And that fight, as they were going through the levels, is one of my favorite fights I've ever seen in a superhero movie.
It was so brutal, too.
It was so brutal. It was like, Peter had never, like, I really liked what Andrew Garfield, his Peter, said about, like, eventually I just stopped pulling punches, because we had this idea that superheroes have to, you know, especially like a Superman or a Spider-Man that can literally rip you apart.
Yeah.
They always have to be pulling punches, but it felt like Peter stopped pulling punches when, especially the second fight in the giant cap shield.
Yeah.
But like, I felt afraid of a Spider-Man for the first time, I feel like, in a long time. You know, I never really felt afraid of emo, you know, Toby or whatever, you know. He felt it was kind of like more a little goofy, but like Tom Holland's like, I'm going to kill the person that killed my aunt, really, really got me.
Sure. No.
But it only works if the Goblin, not Willem Dafoe, but the Goblin is in there, like turning the screws, and the only way to kill the Goblin is to kill an innocent man that he's inside. It was so many cool levels that really hit me in those two fights. But that first fight especially, I thought it was just like, you don't know, there was something about it. I just felt power that I don't know. Usually you feel like almost like a disconnect in physics, whereas that felt real. There was a part when I keep having to just call him the actors' names, but Tom Holland, like, he's going down the hallway and he just grabs a window and pulls it out. That, like, there's something about that never felt more real, like his ability to do what he does. I've always had this disconnect of like, well, then you jump and then the CG takes over. But that like had a really cool, like, I'm not thinking about the effects anymore. I'm thinking about this kid and how angry he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's something about it too, and I don't know if I felt about it, especially in like the Tobey Maguire series and stuff, but like Tom Holland has a way where like I believe that boy is like jumping and shooting a web out of his hand.
Yeah.
Like he's like running and he just jumps and just does this.
Yeah.
And it's not CGI yet, you know? It's him doing that and then he takes off that way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I believe he did that.
Me too.
As opposed to like sometimes like Tobey Maguire just like, and he just
No, I agree.
And, you know, it's a little like, But that was back in the day, and now like this kid did gymnastics and dancing and stuff, you know.
I saw Tom on Hot Ones, and he talks about, especially when he has to have the mask on. You know, I need to be able to, like, when I had the mask on. If I acted the way I had when I'm the mask on versus the mask off, I think I'd be a crazy person. When the mask is on, I'm way bigger. He's like, imagine your hands being like dead. He's always like doing something with his hands, you know. When you had the mask off, then he can emote with his face. But he's really, really good at that. Sometimes I feel like the other actors, when they're in the mask, you don't see the character come out as much as Tom Holland's.
Sure.
But I think I like the other two suits more. Tom Holland's close-up of his face, especially whenever it's in CG, which is like all the time, it just has this texture of not being real to me, whereas like, man, like Tobey Maguire's suit still looks good. 25 years.
It was like
still
different
looks
a little
good,
bit though, but it was cool. I liked it.
But still like the texture, you know?
I did like it. I'm curious to see how this new suit will be.
Yeah.
That Tom made, and just see like, well, wonder what it's gonna be. Yeah. If it's gonna be, is it gonna be as high tech? Is it gonna be a lot more low tech? You know, or what? But
yeah,
I'm curious on that. No, I don't know. There's so much stuff, and I feel like I won't get everything in this movie until I see it like 5 more times.
Agreed.
But like they do, you know, you talk about like stabbing Toby in the back, you know, and that's like. When his death came, he got stabbed by his thing. This time he finally got Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker and finally got to stab him.
Yeah.
The glider coming from behind, hitting Aunt May. Like there's so many things where it's like this feels like these villains from these movies.
It really did.
And they are here in this. I don't know. And you're right. It doesn't. I've never felt more. I don't know. Concerned with Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
Than in this movie. Whereas before I'm just like, fuck this guy, you know, he's a crazy bad man, you know. Yeah. But no, he shows up bombing stuff and then disappears because they leave. But then the next time you see him is he's covering everything up and he's breaking his own mask and he's like, no, I'm not doing this. And he's like a good guy and he's trying to help and he helps Peter figure out how to help Doc Ock, you know. Yeah. And then that it's like whenever he says like, oh, soon we'll be able to fix you, and just Norman Osborn, it's like it clicks, you know, and it's like now it's been taken over, and even like that puny
Norman's on sabbatical, sweetheart.
Yeah. Like he just changes and stuff, and I'm like, dang man, it's. And then whenever they do the serum or whatever, and they get him back, and he's like, what have I done, you know? And it's like he's like looking at Peter, and oh man, it's done really well, and they. I don't know. They did some of these villains where it's like I'm glad they're trying not to kill them. You know, like I don't know.
Like they all like gave it. I mean, other than the Goblin, but they all kind of like okay, and maybe not so much Electro.
Electro might have been less.
Which I like that the arc reactor was the thing that changed. Like something's different, and it's because this world has changed because of Tony Stark being in it, which I really liked. I
really enjoyed Sandman first showing up. Yeah. Blocking and helping Peter Parker, being like, Peter, what, you know, like, who is this guy? It's like, I don't know, let's get him together.
No, he was the one that really needed not much change. He was also the one I was confused by. This one seems like he's from a little more in the future than like the others that.
I don't remember when he learned that he was Peter.
It was probably years after.
And he didn't die, right? Like, I guess maybe he floated off and
yeah, he has a daughter now.
Yeah,
right?
He had a daughter before,
he floated off, yeah.
But, like, I always assumed he didn't die when he floated off. But, I mean, I guess maybe he could.
I don't think he did. I think that, because he still hadn't learned Peter by then, right? So...
at that point,
I don't think he ever does. So I think it's probably that he learns that Peter is Spider-Man later, right? Because I don't think he ever learns it. Unless he's listening in on some conversations.
It's possible. I didn't watch the Raimi trilogy before this. I just watched Spider-Man 2.
Gotcha.
With Rick.
Yes.
Not too long ago.
Yeah. Which was a pretty good one, because that scene with Doc Ock and Toby up on the Statue of Liberty was... I was close. I was getting almost to 4.
When he showed back up, and then he like grabs the Parkers and stuff.
Yeah, that was awesome. But I just love, like, Peter, how are you? You know? Like, I'm doing okay. I just love that moment. He's like his old, like, high school teacher or something, you know? Oh, so good. Yeah. And it felt like, because he took the arc reactor, and then I never saw it again. And he said, the power of the sun in the palms of my hand.
I love when he said that.
Is it to imply that he took it back with him? And then maybe he didn't die at the end?
I don't know. I mean, maybe he did. It's possible. But...
I just never saw it again. I felt like, ooh. I mean, we might never even get a chance to see it, but it's possible that he has the arc reactor back in his universe.
What he was after, he now has over there.
Yeah. I still think it's funny that... Lizard's just a lizard guy, you know? Dr. Connors didn't really get a whole lot of chance to change, other than this. He kind of did the same exact thing that happened in his movie.
Sure.
Just in a different time. But he still, like, spent the entire last part just naked and afraid.
Yeah. He didn't move or go anywhere or do anything. He was just there.
Yeah. And then Electro, he didn't really come around. He was forced as well to accept his new reality, but they still brought up his fucking teeth.
When they said that, I thought of you. I'm like, you're gonna love this.
His fucking teeth, they're fixed.
Yeah, last time I saw you had a comb over and weird teeth. What happened?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, so good. So glad they shined a light on it. I'm so happy.
I didn't really feel. I mean,
I also love that they're like, oh yeah, man, fell into an electric eel pit. That'd do it.
Yeah, that was really good too.
They kept nodding like, that's so ridiculous. But like, just like, yeah.
I felt like the most chemistry in the entire movie was. Well, I should say I felt like Zendaya as MJ. I never liked her more.
Sure.
I didn't really love this version of MJ or her character. I'm not saying I disliked it, but in this, it was one of my favorite performances. I mean, she's putting up a performance next to fucking legends, and she did really good. So I thought her and the three friends really had a really good chemistry.
Ned, MJ, and Peter.
But Toby and Andrew had a really good chemistry together because they kind of came in as like veterans and they weren't doing the heavy lifting, and you could just tell they were having fun, and especially those scenes of the 3 Spider-Men, like it's written but it feels improvised. Really good.
Sure, like the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I was on a team with the Avengers. What? That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Who are they?
Are they a band? Are you in a band? It was really, really good.
I also love the grandma or aunt or whatever she was. The
oh yeah.
And you get those cobwebs and stuff, and she's like, clean up this mess. I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Like,
she didn't speak English the whole time. She just purposely not saying.
I just thought it was funny, like MJ being like, prove you're Peter Parker. Prove you're Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So.
It's crazy that you can go through an entire. We're 35 minutes in, and we haven't yet said Doctor Strange, which was a big part of the movie, and we had an after credit scene.
Yeah.
With Doctor Strange too, which is not really part of the Spider-Man story, but it felt like Marvel's What If.
Yeah.
With the
it felt like a trailer for the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, it
right?
did.
So, but no, it felt like a What If type of story that we had recently, right? Even
like,
Leon
could
was
that
like,
be?
Even Leon said about it. He's like, that felt like the What If Doctor Strange.
Is that the Supreme? Yeah.
And it's like, well, maybe. Also, he's not the Sorcerer Supreme anymore.
It makes perfect sense. Someone would have to do it in those 5 years, and Wong did it so well they never gave it back.
Yeah.
But no, that was pretty good too.
I was like, okay, interesting.
Mm-hmm. And it makes sense why we see Wong. Like, that means that Shang-Chi was in karaoke with the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah,
because Wong would have been Sorcerer.
Would have been during that time frame.
That's amazing.
Yeah. No, the other thing I thought that was interesting with Doctor Strange was they went into the Mirrorverse, which is, it's fun to go into the Mirrorverse. It's always crazy. Yeah. It's like, man, what the hell's going on and stuff. But I also like that Peter looked at it in like a mathematical standpoint, like a science standpoint, rather than just magical, like it's just magic and shit. But he's like, it's geometry.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And he's like, and did a thing, trapped him.
Especially
like,
a guy,
cool.
and especially a guy like Peter, because you figure that you could throw the Hulk or Tony in there, and they might also get it. But Peter has such spatial awareness because he's Spider-Man. He takes an environment like everybody else you throw in there, they're gonna stumble, but he like. I can do this.
Sure, and his spider sense helps him keep an awareness and everything.
So it was cool that he was able to do that and do it with math. And Doctor Strange gets a little bit of his own medicine by being suspended over something or falling something. This time this was 12 hours.
12 hours.
Whereas Loki's was 30 minutes.
Yeah. No, I thought that was fun. I wondered if it's a spider sense or what, but whenever he did the astral projection, knocked him out of his body.
Yeah.
But then the Spider-Man body was like.
Yeah, that was crazy.
What's going on?
I don't understand what happened.
The only thing I can think of is that because Peter has a spider sense, it's not like his consciousness. It's like something extra, right?
Sure.
Reacting or knowing something's coming.
So as if he has his own Jarvis. Jarvis could do it while Tony's out here.
Maybe.
Not
so because he got knocked out, his main consciousness is out of him. But his subconscious and his spider sense is maybe reacting to what's going on.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, I don't, and we're not really meant to know, even Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange doesn't know what's happening, which was great. I loved that he made Peter grab himself in that portal parallax thing. That was really great.
No, they did some fun stuff with the sling rings and the magic and I don't know. It felt cool. I like that they had a little fight with Doctor Strange. And then we moved on, and it explained why he was gone.
Yeah.
And why Peter had to deal with this now.
Yeah.
Because he was just going to push that button, send them all back.
Yeah, and I really liked Doctor Strange's affection for him towards the end. When he, we're all going to forget you. I will forget you. It sucks.
Sure.
I just wonder what... I had a hard time trying to catch up with, okay, Happy knows Aunt May. He knows him because of Spider-Man, but he doesn't know Peter.
Yeah.
I was just trying to think of what's his complete belief about what happened.
It leaves some openness, right?
Yeah.
Where Spider-Man is known. So Spider-Man involved with Civil War.
Yeah.
Spider-Man involved with this or that. That can be the thing. He might think of Peter, but he thinks of Spider-Man instead, right? So instead of I picked up Peter and took him to the airport to go to Berlin or whatever, he thinks of I picked up Spider-Man and took him to that. And I think that's kind of the thing that Happy has, which I think is interesting.
Yeah. I know the answer is magic.
Sure.
But I was just trying to think of I just wonder. I just would like to ask Happy questions, I guess.
Sure. I think it leaves things open enough where if we need a team up or we need help or we need something, if Spider-Man shows up to help Falcon or Captain America or whatever, it's not gonna be a who are you? It's gonna be a Spider-Man. We've worked together before.
That's what you're saying. That's the kid from in the Germany airport. He was there. He did get blipped. He did go to fight Thanos, but no one knows his name.
Yeah. So we get a middle ground kind of where it's Spider-Man's known. Maybe he could leave the Avengers. Maybe he won't. Nick Fury comes back. It's I need Spider-Man. He doesn't know who Spider-Man is, but he knows Spider-Man.
Sure.
So we could have some fun stuff with that, and it still leaves it open to where, now Peter has to keep this secret identity and do the traditional what we expect Peter Parker and Spider-Man to be, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
They also, it was in this movie, right, when they name dropped that Nick Fury's been in space for a year.
Yeah.
And it's
which makes him even less credible. We know that it was the Department of Cleanup,
the Department of
Department Damage Control.
Damage Control, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we've seen.
They're from the first Spider-Man movie with the Vulture.
Yeah.
Because they came in and doing that. I couldn't think of what it was called, but that's who. They had a facility and stuff that he was in for a long time in the first movie and all that stuff. Now with that should also mean that we had the issue of Vulture knowing who he was.
Which all should be cleared up.
Yeah. Heck, yeah. All it should be good now. So he'll just be back on even playing ground with all of that stuff. And there's no one to be put in danger because they don't know who he is now. I remember talking before about I forget what movie it was when Nick Fury was a Skrull and wasn't really Nick
Captain
Fury,
Marvel,
right?
Yeah.
Was in Captain Marvel?
Yeah.
Is that what it was in?
No. It was in the last Spider-Man.
No, was it?
Yeah.
Was it like after credits or something, or what?
So Nick Fury was, what's the name of that Skrull?
I remember seeing him in space.
Yeah, Nick Fury was him the entire movie.
Yeah.
He was a Skrull. And then we see the real Nick Fury in space.
Yeah. Was that in the after credits of that movie?
Yes.
Okay. I was thinking it was in something else, too, because I remember talking about, so he was a Skrull on this thing, but that makes more sense, too.
Yeah.
But I just forgot about that after credits. Because I watched the after credits, which one was it? Oh, the after credits one was the J. Jonah showing up.
Yeah.
But then I didn't watch the next one, I guess.
Gotcha.
Well, I did originally.
Yeah, I mean, having him, J. Jonah, in here with J.K. Simmons, I mean, he's still the perfect J. Jonah, but he does not get a lot of chance to shine like he used to.
No,
he's just kind of.
We've set him up though.
We have.
There is now a J. Jonah in the Peter Parker, who is a Spider-Menace. Like, you're gonna get that ability to play out, which would be
like
cool.
Unfortunately, it feels like I'm most disappointed with J. Jonah in this, just because there's not a whole lot of chance for him to do much that made him great.
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that he was just talking to a camera the entire time, whereas like when he interacts with people, it's all gold. It doesn't matter who, but anyone. But here he just like screaming to a camera, which is fine. But it was never like his J. Jonah stuff was some of my favorite stuff in the old Spider-Man. This is like way down the list.
What I feel like they might be doing is that J. Jonah is like a web show right now, right? And it might be something.
And then he upgraded. He went from his like basement to like an actual studio because of the popularity of Spider-Man.
I feel like he's going to grow through this, and we're going to get to what like the Daily Bugle anyway, because one of Spider-Man's friends is like the secretary of him. What is it, Betty? Betty Brant? I think it's Betty Brant.
We had a reporter whose name was...
It's the one from the school, right? Remember that?
Betty Brant. Yeah, she called him Tiger.
Yeah, she's been in... So she was in the first
two
you're
movies. Right. She was.
She's in the first one as like the crappy school news thing with the other kid.
I remember that.
And then she was...
a reporter.
Ned's girlfriend in the Far From Home thing until she wasn't.
Gotcha.
But no, she's before in other things. I think even in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. I think she is Miss Brant, right?
Miss Brant? Yes, okay.
She's a secretary or whatever.
No, I wrote down the name, made none of those connections.
So with her getting older and doing news reporting and stuff, if he grows and they're all like graduating, going to college and stuff, she might end up being there, working there. Maybe even Peter Parker will go there and do pictures and stuff, because we haven't had any of that. Like, that's the traditional Peter Parker taking pictures and all that stuff. Yeah, nothing. He hasn't been a reporter.
Like, he has... Man, I wish that the guy that was like, rent's due in the first of the month would have been like, rent? That guy?
Yeah, Mitchkovich or something like that. Yeah. I forget his name.
Like, that was just a fucking bad opportunity he didn't take. But, yeah, I don't know how he gets money. I mean... Maybe Aunt May had money or something. But I don't think she did. Pizza Time. But yeah, he has an apartment and is going to be pretty much Spider-Man full time right now. Which it sets up for something that's, it feels like it's going to be pretty crazy.
Yeah. No, I think so.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this, it's crazy. Because I'm like, oh man, this is this universe and this and that and everything else. But now he's there. He's had his losses that define him, his experiences that he's learned from. Yeah. You have Tony Stark, you have Aunt May, you have the other Peters that he's learned from now a little bit from, and now he's on his own to have to be Peter Parker and or Spider-Man. And he's graduating high school, I think, here soon, and like that's why they're talking about going to college, right?
It really does feel like it's like a blank slate.
Yeah.
What are you going to do now?
So I'm really...
with the symbiote out there as well. Yeah.
But I'm also...
The symbiote.
I mean, that's got to come up from Mexico. So that could be next movie. It could be a movie after, know. But it's there and it's been seeded, right? Even though they got to get inside people because they can't live in the air and they got to eat brains, right?
True. Do you think... I don't know how much you know about Ned. Do you know much about Ned in the comics?
No, not really.
They had, the lines like, I won't turn into a villain and try to kill you, I promise,
Sure, yeah.
But now he's forgotten them. Like, I just wonder if, like, you're seeding that he has magical ability and what is Ned like without Peter Parker. Yeah. Maybe you'll have some stuff in there. I'm not
bad guy
sure.
Coming to... I loved how much that bothered him after
It did bother him.
after the other Peter told him about it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I watched him die in my arms after he tried to kill me. He's like, huh? So, and Pete, what? No, Peter. We're all Peter. No, Peter Parker. We're all Peter Parker. It was fun.
Yeah, it was.
And then they're arguing over Peter 1, Peter 2.
Yep.
Well, I'm Peter 1. Like you should have just called him like Amazing Peter, or I don't know. But,
I'm glad that I was able to have all of those experiences in the theater and without spoilers. I mean, we knew about the villains, of course, but I felt like it was assumed that those two Spider-Men would be there, but I'm glad I didn't know all the details and all the interactions and Charlie Cox.
Sure, yeah.
Which is still my fave.
No, I mean, honestly, I feel like for this movie, it's the biggest surprise of the movie because the other things you're expecting more so.
Yeah.
But after having just had Hawkeye do what it did, I felt like it was less surprising of that.
Gotcha.
And I don't know which reveal I would have liked better to be my first one. Because the Kingpin one was here. Yeah. And I got to do it for Hawkeye. And I was so excited for it, especially once the name popped up. I'm like, oh my God, it is him! But
I will say that I'm glad that we got to have that, or at least you got to have that reaction on camera, as opposed if it was this one that was the first time, that would not have been on camera.
Sure, yeah.
So... if anything, we're just gonna have a hell of a time talking about that during Hawkeye next week with those guys having not seen us.
I know it's gonna be a thing.
We'll see. There's one episode.
The thing is, like, we can.
But during Christmas,
I think it's talking around things and assumptions and whatnot, right? Yep. Rather than confirmations until we get that. I mean, I don't know how long until Spider-Man gets to come out into the video on demand.
People are saying like it could be anywhere between 30 and 60 days.
I've heard. No confirmation. I've heard as far as 6 months.
So 6 months for it to be on. Certain platforms. There's this weird thing with Netflix, and that Netflix is supposed to have it first. There's also this weird thing when it comes to like different countries and where it goes first. But I think at the very least, it's between that time for the Blu-ray. Maybe not so much for the streaming. So we'll see. But I feel like we'll be able to dull the edge of certain spoilers for those two.
Sure.
So Rick, who's not like the biggest Marvel fan, doesn't have much of a problem in going and finding spoilers, and then with Calvin we'll be able to like kind of stave off and be a wall for that. So
sure.
Anyway, but yeah, I don't know if I'm correct, but it feels like the fact that this was a Sinister Six movie, it's just one of them didn't bother to show up, felt intentional.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I didn't think about it that way initially.
Yeah. Because why wouldn't you have 6 of them? If you're going to go 5, just do one more. Just do 6. Throw Vulture in there.
What's funny, and I started feeling bad, too, because like we were getting to the end of everything, and I was like, dang, I was talking to Melanie, I was like, hey, Melanie, just in case, because we're watching this, like, so you won't be confused, like, the end of the Venom movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, here's what happened.
Sure.
I don't know what that means. He might be in this movie. And then get to the end, like, fuck, he's not even in this movie.
Well.
And I was like, okay.
Thank God he did it, though, because it makes sense now.
Yeah. Colson was like, who's that? I'm like, that's Eddie Brock. Remember that Fortnite skin? Because there is a Tom Hardy Fortnite skin that turns into Venom. He's like, oh. But they haven't seen those movies either, so I'm going to have to go back and watch all these Spider-Man movies for them now so they can see it. We watched the first 2 yesterday, actually, for the Tom Holland movies.
Oh, cool.
Just to kind of get them refreshed on what was going on.
So I think I need to refresh most of my Andrew Garfield movies.
They didn't remember the first Tom Holland movie, like, at all.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm like,
gotcha.
It's in that early stages where like they were kind of young and like I know they watched it, but they're probably like, I don't know.
Yeah. But there's a part of me that I like Electro and Lizard, but I thought they were the least hyped part or best part of this. Like Lizard was kind of just there. Electro a little more so because he felt more of like the power, like force on the opposing team.
Sure.
But I did like the little mentions of like, a little Russian guy in a rhino suit, which. Did it seem like, okay, so Doctor Strange is like, they're coming through! And they're breaking through, and we see like these constellation people.
There was that, and I was trying to watch, because like they were so quick for one. Yeah. And I can't pause them in the theaters.
Me too.
One thing looked like a scorpion.
Yeah.
And I was like, it looked like a scorpion.
I thought one looked like a rhino.
I thought like a big in the middle, right?
Yep.
And it looked like there was something kind of longer and slender, and I couldn't tell what that one was. But the 2 that I caught was like, that could be like a big rhino shape.
Sure.
And that could be like an actual scorpion?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure. But
these are just our thoughts and feelings. We'll have to go on like New Rock Stars or something and be able to like, no, don't tell you the facts.
I need to see those images and just like look at each one. Yeah. Kind of like, because time in the theater. We do not condone piracy. No, yeah. But one time in the theater, without being able to pause it, because even watching Spider-Man and stuff, there was something, it was during the second Tom Holland movie.
Yeah.
He's on the plane and he's going to find something to watch. And I was like, wait, what the hell is that? And I went back and it was a, like, how they captured Hydra documentary. like
Really?
on the plane. They had the Snap, which was some kind of documentary.
Okay.
They had a Iron Man one, which he was gonna watch, like the history of Iron Man or whatever, like looking back on Tony Stark. Then they had like a Hydra documentary, and it was like how they captured all of Hydra over the years, kind of thing. And there was 2 others. One was like for Wakanda, and the other one was something else. And
I would love to watch all of those.
Yeah, and I was like, what the hell are these? I remember these, but like that was me watching these at home, and I'm like, oh man, I can just pause these, look at these little. Oh, that's cool. So, but I'm excited.
I definitely would do a lot of pausing. A lot of it would be just Willem Dafoe's face.
Sure.
One would be that splash screen of the 3 Spider-Men all together. And then whenever they decide, like, we gotta do it together, trust your tingle, and they jump out and they all grab each other to do like this big cool turn. That was so great too.
The one when they jumped and they all jumped off together.
Yeah.
Coulson like leaned over, was like, Dad, they all jumped different. Like each one had their own jump and like their own style and stuff, which is really cool. And I love that. Like they're all Peter Parker, they're all Spider-Man, but they're all still different too.
I love that Toby still has back problems from when he fell.
I laughed at that too.
My back.
I'm like, what are you doing? My back. I'm like, oh my god.
I'm back.
And they also hung a hat on like, do you ever have web block?
Yeah, that was
like, you know what? I just thought I did have web block. I was waiting for them to also toss in like some other like villain that we hadn't seen them fight or anything before. And they're talking about like, what's the craziest villain you ever fought?
Yeah.
Because like Andrew felt like there was more story that he's gone through.
Definitely.
Because of his rage thing he talked about.
Because we didn't get to see it, but like he's had to live without Gwen.
Yeah.
You know?
So like I was like, ooh, maybe he'll mention something else, you know, or a villain that we haven't seen. I'm like, oh, that's a cool little idea, you know, but they didn't do that. They mentioned a slimy alien, and then they talk about an alien space, and they talk about a robot rhino. So, which that was what's his name from? What was it, Big Fat Liar or whatever it was? Damn, what's his name?
Paul Giamatti.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Russian rhino guy.
Yep. I love that actor. I hated that rhino, but I would like to see it more. Well, I guess the thing I hated most was like that was like in the trailer, but it was also the last scene of the movie.
I would say last scenes of the movies being in the trailer.
Which I mean, we saw trailers for this, and the only like spoiler I guess I ever really got was someone saying like, "Look, a lizard! His head goes this way." They erased a Spider-Man, and when I was watching it, I'm like, "Yep, that's exactly. They were exactly correct." Like Andrew Garfield does like an axe kick, and his head goes this way. They just erased him out of that shot.
I saw where people were being like, "There's stuff erased from this trailer," but I never like looked in, like rewatched it, trying to find what they were or anything. I was like, I watched it once. I'm leaving it be.
And I mean,
I don't want to watch more.
Like people like that was the most prevailing thing I remember from that trailer. People were saying it as if like every trailer in the world doesn't do that, because I mean that's happened in so many, not even just Marvel movies, but like sometimes if you pay attention, like watch the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer compared to the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. The trailers, effects houses sometimes had to complete effects just for those shots. Trailer. You know, like backgrounds, entire things would be completely changed.
Sure. No, I remember. I think it was Endgame, maybe. Mm-hmm. It was like the biggest one where they're panning across like the yard, the grass, and there's like this person, and there's like a blanky area,
big giant,
where it's like I feel like something should be there and it's not. And
it was Pepper.
Yeah,
they took Pepper out. Yeah. Or they had just like regular Hulk in the Battle of Wakanda. Mm-hmm. Not either.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, no, if I had to pick one thing to be completely surprised by in the theater, I'm glad it's Charlie Cox, just because it took me even a second. Like the stick came in, and I was like, "What's that?" You know, I was like Tom Holland being like, "What are you talking about? You can't be dead." That's how I felt. Like it hit a wall. Like it can't happen, but like you said, it should, because I just had "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch."
No, I'm very excited for that and what that means. Honestly, this movie and what they've been doing lately, I feel like are opening some doors for like where are we going next, which I'm really excited for. And maybe it's because like, you know, I've heard some people being like, "Oh man, they've finished the stories for a lot of the big named heroes."
Like, it seems like the original Avengers are gone, and
which I mean, like I guess it's true, but I feel like Iron Man wasn't that big until 2008.
Yep.
You know, like Iron Man wasn't one of the big named like heroes. No. He was a hero, and then he became a big name because of the MCU. So
I got made fun of for wearing Captain America shirts and Iron Man shirts when I was a kid in elementary school. Like, what the fuck's that? Like, y'all see, one day we'll rule the world.
So with that, and like if people are worried that, oh man,
Yeah.
all their good heroes are gone and stuff too, but people love the Daredevil, you bring that into it too. Spider-Man, I love what they did with Shang-Chi and stuff. Like, there's been lots of stuff that they're putting in there. I'm like, these have been really good.
They have.
I think we can build in whatever Phase 2 is going towards, you know. Or
we have Kang the Conqueror as a villain coming in.
Are we in Phase 2 now? What are we in?
We're in Phase like 4.
Well, like, didn't they reset the phases or something?
No.
Is this like a new Phase 1?
No, they set phasers to 4.
4.
Yeah, I think it's 4 now.
They have a setting.
Yeah, like set phasers just done.
I know that Phase 1, 2, and 3.
Joke.
I feel like they should reset. I don't get Star Trek.
Me either. I like to make his new house feel like home. He put his little Palpatine Lego on the desk, you know? It's like, this is where I can lay my hat. That was funny.
Yeah, no, I liked it too. I'm interested to see what they do
Jamie
with him.
Foxx is like, you got Legos? Those are your Legos?
They made the... and it's been nodded to a couple times, but in this one, Jamie Foxx was talking like, man, I was just hoping you'd be black. Like,
that was so good.
There's gotta be a black Spider-Man out there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Donald Glover talks about his nephew, Miles. Maybe we get that too.
Like, you're from Queens. You're fighting injustice. Just thought you'd be black.
Yeah, but that one's in...
Yeah.
That's in our universe. So we could potentially in the future get a Miles Morales in the MCU, which would be really cool. Like, Miles is a really cool character.
I mean, yes. And if we don't, we have an amazing set of movies. That one already out and one coming up with in the Spider-Verse with Miles too. So, but I get you.
No, I agree. That's true too. No, I'm sure there's so many other things.
Yeah.
I had a notebook, but my pen wasn't writing, so I didn't get to take any of my notes in the theater. So this is just so I could write in case I remembered anything.
I mean, I wrote some things that I don't like. That in the time when writing, I'm like, oh, that might be important. Like MJ's dad really likes Peter and that kind of thing. But it got to the point, like Hannibal Buress' character, the gym teacher. He's the conspiracy one. Like the guy that doesn't care about anything suddenly cares. That was funny. I loved in the entire scene in which Doctor Strange was doing his spell. He's not looking at Peter. He's looking up the whole time, like, shut up. Just something about Benedict Cumberbatch doing that made me laugh.
Sure. No, I thought he was really... I thought Benedict did a really good job, and I enjoyed the Doctor Strange. I was thinking that he was going to be like, you have to call me sir. He has the line of, you don't have to call me sir, we've saved the galaxy or whatever. Yeah. He's like, all right, Steven. It's like, it's a little weird. Yeah. Like, he said it again later on, too, and I was waiting for him to be like, still strange. Just because it would be a fun little play, but... Yeah. Man. So, do you think they fixed the Statue of Liberty? Like, I mean, it's not that it's broken, but, like, they were going to put the shield up here.
I didn't think they'll put it back up.
Which I thought was weird.
I didn't think it was weird. I thought that you should have the shield here and this up like this.
Yeah, I thought so, too. But this is also, like, it's a list of, like, names and whatever. I don't know. I don't know.
Or on the back.
Back would be good. Put it on the back.
Yeah, back sucks.
Why not put the back?
Right? That's what the back. If you're at the back of the Statue of Liberty, you're like, man, I wish I was at the front. Yeah. But if there's a Captain America show back there, you'd be like, if you're at the front, you would wish you're in the back.
I think that'd be a better place to put it.
Why aren't we designers? We could build shit.
Yeah, or at least talk to us and we'll tell you how to build it.
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea.
No one else thinks that way about themselves, just us. It's great movie. Glad I watched it in theaters. I'm glad I this wonderful Sunday morning.
Avoid spoilers for however long.
Now we need to be the guardians, protectors, and stop the other two from getting any type of spoilers, which I feel like is just going to be, regardless of how long it's going to be until it comes out, we need to be very vigilant in the next 2 or 3 weeks when the hype is still around, and then eventually it'll get better.
Yeah. And if hopefully you're watching this, you've already seen it and stuff too, but be easy on spoilers and stuff too. Not everyone, it's holidays, there's pandemic stuff and whatnot. Not everyone's getting a chance to be able to go see it right away. Some people have to wait a little while, so... it's really easy to just ask somebody before you start talking, like, hey, have you seen this? Yes, no. And then, do you want to talk about it? Yes, no, because there might be people around them that don't want to know. Yeah. So. And be careful with how you post things on social media, too, because while it might not seem like a spoiler in your head when you first write something like that, once someone reads something, be like, oh my gosh. It's easy sometimes to put together, like, well, with this, what they said, it can only mean this. Yep. Like, I've had some things like that happen before, so... just be respectful to other people. And if you want to talk about spoilers and stuff, there are places to talk about that with tons of people who have watched it. Like our Discord has a whole MCU. I think there's a Spider-Man thread itself in our MCU spoiler chat. So you can talk to people about that. Just be like, Spider-Man, hated it, loved it, whatever it was. Probably loved it, but...
You also need to stick around because we have one more episode of Hawkeye going on. That's going to be coming out on Wednesday, in which that will be like our first probably big thing of like, let's guard these two. Because also, we'll be having eventually a reaction to No Way Home up on the channel. So please hit the subscribe button and well, what was your favorite part of the movie? What didn't you like? Down in the comments, you can also interact, but we warn you that down there, not only will there be, you know,
spoilers,
but insults and people being angry, because that's what the internet's like, right? We're all angry, and none of us like each other.
Why?
I don't like you. No, I like him.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this review discussion more so than anything else. We enjoyed the movie. It was a lot of fun. We hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And subscribe so you don't miss out on reactions. There's Spider-Man 2 reaction coming to YouTube soon. There's Hawkeye, Book of Boba, all kinds of good stuff. We cover Marvel, Star Wars, all of it. Subscribe so you don't miss out.